Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from our comfy couch here on the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon Reviews for February 8th, 2021, which your host, me, Striker2448, and Rampant Epsilon.
Hello.
This little fun batch of episodes. Okay, it's skipping ahead a little bit, but I swear one of the episodes is using footage from episode final, which is the Ryuki movie.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me either because of what I know about later in the series. But I was surprised that it appears this early. Because I was like, okay, this is very clearly Japanese footage, but it's too good of a quality compared to the series. This must be episode final. At least I assume it's episode final.
You hope so, anyhow.
Yeah. So, folks, we're covering, what is it, 13 through 16? In reality, we're covering 13, 14, and 16, because we're just going to skip over 15. Because there's nothing to talk about in 15.
Yeah, at all.
But how'd you feel about the other episodes?
I mean, more of the same goodness out of it.
Yeah. They do love using long drawn out them driving on bikes to kill time.
Yep. To be fair, that doesn't surprise me though.
Also, I've noticed something. They keep putting in the ride shooter footage of them driving up in the ride shooters in the middle of the fights, and it's kind of jarring.
Yeah.
Because we'll establish they're fighting.
We probably could have skipped out on that and been fine.
Yeah. Because we'll establish they're fighting, and then we will cut to them driving with the ride shooters to a location to then resume the fight. Why don't we just cut the ride shooter footage? I know partially why, because toys, but honestly, it's making me go, the ride shooter's kind of pointless in the series, isn't it?
Yep.
It's incredibly pointless. I see now why Shadow X skipped it, because it's like, honestly, nobody's missing the ride shooter. No, not a soul's missing this bike. But any other thoughts before we hit the recap of fucking all 3 episodes that we're actually talking about? Because why not?
No, not really.
Alright, we kick things off on episode 13 of Thrill of the Hunt. So Lynn's having a rough time because he doesn't know if he can vent Brad or not, because unlike Incisor, Brad isn't a complete dickhead. So he feels kind of bad. But fortunately, his reflection is just like, do your job, throw him in the Advent Void. And he's like, fine, I'll do my job and throw him in the Advent Void.
Which is funny that he isn't the one that winds up getting to do it. Just saying.
No, that goes to someone else.
Because I don't feel like that's too big of spoilers.
No.
I'm willing to go out on a limb right now and say he probably will not be venting many more people, if any.
He at least vents one more person.
That's why I'm like, yeah, it's not going to be many, if at all, kind of deal.
Yeah, I don't know who besides that, because honestly, we are running out of writers. Like, we're almost through introducing all of the writers at this point.
Yeah.
But after the scene with Lynn, we check in with Kit because he's meeting with Maya, catching her up on who Chris is. And he's just like, he's a decent person, just being misled. And then, maybe we can try to talk him down. And Maya has the idea of being the one to talk him down since no deck, maybe he'll listen to me. Which, fair assessment.
Yeah.
So that's when they hear a monster and they head out. At this point, we cut over to Chris, who's getting a call from Zabiax to give him orders and stuff. And Chris is like, yeah, sure. But he's like, something doesn't feel right. Which I do like that he's just like, maybe they're telling the truth? I don't know anymore. I need information.
Well, I love that he's kind of having a open mind about both sides, and it's because of the fact of Len didn't vent him.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's nice to see that his inability to do what he originally set out to do is kind of being helpful at the moment.
Yeah. But after this, we check in with Kit. He saves some random girl from the monster and then chases down the monster. It's a bat monster with a gun. So he has problems because Kit has no gun. Essentially. His strike vent doesn't count as a gun. But he does manage to finally pin it down after it dodges around for a bit and Ryder kicks it. And I guess we were supposed to have a comedic moment where he actually breaks a tube on this big machine something when he untransforms. I don't know what that's about. But we head over to Grace's, where Lacey continues to do nothing. She shows up and is like, Maya needs to stop dealing with paranormal stuff and come with me and do normal people stuff. And Trent's like, let her do her weird paranormal stuff. And she's like, fine, I'll leave. And then leaves. Don't you love Lacey as a character?
I mean, no.
Yeah, she's... and I know what she does later, and I'm like, Lacey, you win no one favors in this series. Not really. Anyway, Kit runs into Drew, who tries to talk his way into joining them, and Kit has fucking none of it. And I love that Kit is incredibly fed up with this man. He's just like, I will probably vent you over the sheer fact of you can go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
With what you did with me? No. Fuck you. Go in the Advent Void.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's just like, no. I'm done with you. You had your shot. You blew it. Screw you. Go jump off a cliff.
So the two of them fight, and just a bit of trivia, the footage they're using from this episode from Ryuki, or for this episode from Ryuki, is actually an episode where Zelda decides to be a dickhead and make Shinji think he killed him. And by him, he means his butler. And it makes Shinji very upset, but then it's revealed, no, you didn't kill Zelda. And he's like, oh, okay, I didn't kill someone accidentally. Because Shinji doesn't want to kill people. Because Shinji doesn't want the writers to fight because vaguely defined reasons that are not well done in the series. Look, Shinji is a terrible protagonist, I'm not going to lie. Shinji is a bad protagonist. But instead of Shinji, instead of Kit being misled by Drew into thinking that he's gone, I love that Kit's just like, where the fuck did you go? Where did you go? I know you went somewhere. Thanks, show. But yeah, Drew gets his butt kicked, Kit knocks him down with his strike vent, but Drew gets away to go do a flashback scene later.
Yep.
But in the middle of this fight, Chris actually arrives and sees this fight going on and pretty much talks to Maya, and this is pretty much when he gets his face turned and he gets to join the good guys. But meanwhile, Brad runs into Lynn, and the two of them have a burnout contest between themselves, trying to push their bikes before they finally get to fight each other, and then drive somewhere else and then fight each other some more. Because that's all they do the entire episode. Anyway, we catch up with Drew after this. He's catching his breath, and we see how Xaviax recruited him because he was a con man trying to sell a bunch of broken cell phones that I don't know how they are this bad, but I guess he just ordered really cheap phone for a stupid amount of money. But the cops come looking for him, and he tries to get away, only for Xaviax to be like, I can give you the world if you'll fight for me. And he's like, sure, I'll do that. And that's how Drew got recruited. But I do love that Xaviax's car is being driven by one of his goons.
Yeah,
with a hat
nice
on,
touch.
too. I'm just like, the hat makes it. But we cut back. James actually is following Drew at this point to, take him out because fuck this asshole. He's failed us enough times. It's time for him to go. Meanwhile, we catch up with Kit as he's catching up with Maya and Chris. Chris sides with him, and the two of them see a monster and they go fight it, and they blow it up with a double strike vent because Chris can copy different cards, so he copies Kit's strike vent, so they do it together to show that they're buddies. And we end the episode with Brad and Lynn continuing to fight, while James tracks down Drew, and they get to fight some more. Which takes us to episode 14, Xaviax's Promise. So we kick off with Brad and Lynn continuing to fight as Kit and Chris arrive because Chris wants to talk to Lynn, and they try to find him. They find him fighting Brad, and so they decide to try to break up the fight so they could probably try to get Brad on their side. But they transform, intervene, and we see that Brad has a card that lets him, I guess, lock away the contract monsters. Like, temporarily, I guess. So they can't use the specific abilities of those. Which works because without them, he can't be vented.
Fair.
But they try to convince Brad to come to their side, but Brad's like, no, fuck you, I'm fighting for myself. I want that evidence that proves my innocence, and I will fight to get it. So, he's more or less a lost cause. Middle of this, Trent calls Maya for an update, and they have a conversation, and I didn't really pay attention to the conversation.
I didn't either.
That happened, and we're back to the fight. At this point, Drew and James's fight spills into where everyone else is fighting. And Drew realizing, oh, all my problems are in one location. I'm gonna hit my nuke button. So
yeah,
he doesn't.
And this is the point when I realized, he's only ever been successful at that once. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
Pretty sucky trump card.
Yeah, look, it's just a big nuke button. The problem is it's not targeted, and it doesn't do enough damage to any of the riders.
Yeah.
To actually vent them, it just injures them.
If it even does that. This
Well,
time it
injured
didn't even
Lynn.
really do that.
Well, it injured Lynn one time.
Yeah. But it didn't do
Look.
it this time.
Look, the thing is, all the riders are supposed to work together, and Drew doesn't realize that he's support.
He's all the support.
He's sniper support, and he doesn't realize that. He needs someone else to help him, but he doesn't, so oh well. But yeah, he tries to nuke everybody. He gets nobody and just walks off. But thankfully for James, he found himself a meat shield to take no damage, and it was Brad. So he just like has grabbed Brad to take the damage for him, and he just tosses him aside. He's just like, well, this asshole's failing us too. I'm gonna vent him, and then proceeds to vent him. And then Kit and James have a bit of a stare down. Their contract monsters wrestle for a little bit, and then James decides to go fuck off because he's like, I'm done. I gotta go chase down Drew. Bye. So Lynn grabs Brad's deck because he's slowly collecting all the decks because that'll be important for later. And the three of them leave, and him and Kit inform Chris like what the hell venting is and the Advent Void and all that. Essentially, the start of the information that the three of them need, or two of them need to tell Chris. But they're a team now, so they head out to Kit's place. While we check in with Maya, who heads to Grace's to show Trent her photos, which I swear she's forgotten that the photos don't work.
She has.
Okay. I was like, I'm not crazy in thinking that she's forgotten that she can't take photos of them when they're in the mirror.
Nope, she's completely forgotten.
Good. But yeah, she forgot about that, and now she's also fired from her job as a writer for her conspiracy website thing because, what is it, Michelle essentially framed her for pulling a fake incident, an alien incident, and got her fired. I have to think she realizes that Michelle set her up, right?
Maybe.
Because, like, the information is on her blog, specifically. Like, it'd be one thing if it was an anonymous tip from somewhere, just being like, oh, hey, look at her, like, faking an incident. But no, Michelle publicly states on her blog, she did a fake, fire her, and she got fired. Because, like, she doesn't like Michelle already. It wouldn't be that far to assume this is like, oh, she did this to me, didn't she? I don't know. I might be jumping the gun. But anywho, meanwhile, James finds Drew and then beats the shit out of him and then vents his ass. Because it's like, you're done. You're bad at your job. You're done. Goodbye.
And is it bad that he's like the only one that I'm like, yes, he needed to be vented?
Not really, no. Drew is kind of a shithead.
Yeah, to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would be bad if he was just bad guy concept. Because it would be like, okay, yeah, it kind of sucks, but he could still possibly be redeemed. No. He's jerk to everyone. It's like, oh, never mind. He just needs to be gone.
Look, there's a reason, like, why we've said several times now that the Ventaran Riders are the mirror twins of the Earth Riders. It's because, A, we don't have to do redemption arcs, and B, we don't have to recast anyone.
Fair.
Because, you know, just for reference, like this is Zelda gone at what, episode 14? Zelda lasts the entire series. So there is a shit ton of footage of Zelda still existing in Ryuki.
Also, shout outs to, you eventually gonna confuse everyone.
I know. I know, that's going to be incredibly bad.
Yep.
But yeah, there is a lot of footage of him as a writer remaining. So we have to use it somehow. Weirdly enough, not a whole lot of footage of Nah, I can't think of his English name. Rhino Man. Because I'm like, Guy! No, that's his Japanese name. Thrust. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't help that the names are kind of generic.
At all.
Yeah. But yeah, Thrust I don't think really has any footage left because he's kind of went through everything that his character did in Ryuki. Like him being vented by Strike. Yeah, that's how it happened in Ryuki. And it was kind of early on. So there's actually probably not that much footage of him left.
Not to reuse anyhow.
Yeah. But yeah, we end episode 14 with Maya getting called from the boys, so the three of them can catch Chris up on the events of the series. Which leads us to episode 15, The Many Faces of Xaviax. As this is a clip show, recapping the previous 14 episodes of the series. Moving on. Like, everything that's been important plot point-wise is reiterated in this clip show. Like, the Mirror Twin stuff, Xaviax, plot, all the plot. Like, it's all reiterated, so you remember all the major plot points, and we just move on. So we go to episode 16, The Hero of Gramercy Heights? I think it's pronounced Gramercy Heights.
I think so.
So James checks in with Xaviax and tells him, it's like, okay, look, it's 3-on-1. I'm gonna need some backup. And Xaviax's like, well, split them up, take out Chris. He's the weak link because, asthma. While I work on getting you, backup. And by backup, he means the other two writers that are not the one specific writer and the other specific writer that are from the movies, more or less. The remaining two show writers. Because, that's how many writers we've burned through at this point. Which is kind of weird to think about.
Yeah.
So he heads out. Meanwhile, Kit talks to Lynn after Chris has left to go, I guess, brood about JTC. And he's just like, hey, JTC knows a bunch of this writer stuff. Maybe we can talk to him and, he can help us find the other writers since, they're mirror twins. You just need to know their faces. Or you know what they look like. We just need to find them. But Lynn rightfully goes, how the fuck does he know about us?
Yeah, I love that Lynn's the one that puts this together and is like, you realize what you're saying here, right?
I also love the Kit's just like, fuck, you're right. We should probably go meet this guy. So the two of them head out, and they actually had the Grace's books, and they talk to Trent. Because they're like, how do we find this guy? And he's just like, well, he's like a wanted person from the government. Like, no one's found him. I've even tried, and I can't find him. Although I do have his license plate of his motorcycle when he was here. And here's the address of where the motorcycle is supposedly registered. Although it is a different name, so have fun. So the two of them head out to investigate. Meanwhile, for the rest of the episode, for the most part, It is Maya and Chris talking as Chris more or less goes through his backstory of him as a writer. Going from when Xaviax recruited him and showed him the cards and the decks and stuff and got him to fight monsters, him fighting different monsters, getting better at it, to eventually him being told about Len and to vent him and stuff, or to take him down. And this lasts like 10 minutes of the episode. All sorts of fight scenes, which, just for reference, this is the first episode with no Ryuki footage. All the fight scene footage in this episode is original.
But
yeah, Chris feels down about being manipulated and, having asthma, so he sees himself as weak. But Maya's just like, no, you are a real hero. You actually did save people. I hope. It's probably the unspoken part of, I hope you actually did save people, and you didn't just save people from one monster and then another monster just quickly came in, stole that person while you weren't looking.
Well, I mean, didn't they establish that the missing people had actually went down since he showed up?
True.
So I would assume that means he was actually saving them.
Which is a good thing.
Which
Granted,
also
that information
makes me
comes
wonder,
from James. And I don't know if Maya verified it, so that could be a lie.
True. But if that is the case, then I also wonder about Xaviax then, because does that mean he's only sending one monster to go gather one human? And giving up if said monster gets destroyed?
I don't know.
Because
I would assume
that almost feels like that goes against his plan.
Yeah, I assume he sent several monsters at once. I assume he's just had Chris fight monsters against people he doesn't need just to keep him busy. And also make him good enough to maybe take out Lynn.
Maybe, but then why would anyone try to make... I mean, even if this was a plan from Xaviax, why would they even try to be like, oh yeah, look, this one area has been better?
True.
Because if anything, I would think that would make people look at it more.
Yeah.
It's one of those, it's like, I don't get the thought process there. That is a lose-lose situation.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, this is most of the episode, is this entire flashback, exposition dump. Eventually, James, who's been tailing them the entire time, decides to show up as Strike, and it's just like, I want to fight, and Chris is like, okay, I'll fight, and the two of them fight, but we don't really see the fight for the rest of the episode. Because the last part of the episode is... Well, first, Lacey shows up to Grace to talk to Maya, and Trent's like, she's not here. And she's like, fine, I'll just stay here and read this book. Which she's holding upside down, and I love how Trent has to point out that she's holding it upside down. Did you not realize from the words in the book that it was upside down?
Apparently not.
But anyway, Kit and Lynn show up to where... supposedly, or where James' bike is supposedly registered, only to be attacked by a monster. And this is an interesting note that has implications about a future character's power set, because this monster is actually a contract monster. It's alternatives. But this monster has no connection to... One second. I'll be back.
Okay.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
I had to run down my dog because he stole a book. Again. He was acting like he wanted one, and I was just like, don't. What do you want? And he got it before I could run him down. So I just had to go in there with a treat and just be like, here's a treat. This is what you want. Give me the book. Lo and behold, he gives me the book. But like I was saying, this is an actual contract monster, but it's not treated as a contract monster in Dragon Knight. Which means that when the alternative shows up, he actually doesn't have a contract monster. Which also doesn't have a bike because his contract monster actually doubles as his bike. So, yeah, weird implications that mean nothing in the context of this series. But yeah, Kit and Lin fight it for a bit. Managed to, I think they just run it off. Because I don't think they actually defeat it. But they run it off. Lin really wants to find this JTC guy now, since, they track down an address of his. They get ambushed by a monster. Something's up. And that's where the episode ends, and that's our 4 episodes for the week. So how'd you feel about the 3/4 of them that fucking mattered?
How do I feel about the 3 episodes for the week?
Yes.
I mean, the show has not really faltered, even with the recap episode this early in.
Yeah.
Which is more than we can say about Saber.
Fair. Considering I watched this week's episode because the watch along for Go Mango went up today. Lightsaber Man is now Lightsaber Comic Book Man with his new form change. I was actually watching a Toku podcast Sunday, and they named like the first arc with like Caliper and all that, the Dark Saber arc, and they didn't know what to call this current arc, which, Lightsaber Man and stuff. And I just said Lightsaber Man arc, and they're like, yes.
Lightsaber arc.
That's just what he is. He's Lightsaber Man. And this arc is all about him, more or less, so. But yeah, I'm enjoying this far more than I'm enjoying Saber. I mean, as someone who's still watching it, even though I don't like the show.
Yeah. That's the thing that has yet again got me. You are pulling a ghost.
I know. To be fair, I'm not watching the episode alone, which is probably helping, is that I'm watching it with other people who are watching it at the same time. Because honestly, if these didn't exist, I probably wouldn't be watching Saber. I'd probably only be keeping up with like whatever is the next time on Saber preview that goes up on YouTube. And just be like, oh, what happens next episode? Oh, that? Okay, cool. Oh, a form change happens? Cool. I'll watch a clip of the transformation. Otherwise, I don't care. So, yeah. I'm enjoying this more, even though it has some roughness to it. Because adapting Toku is harder than you think.
Oh, most definitely.
So yeah, anything else?
No.
All right, next week it is 4 more episodes, and this coming week is more Xenoblade Chronicles, more Master Chief Collection, something Saturday of some variety of multiplayer, and back around to Dragonite on Sunday. So if you like what you're seeing, drop a follow. Really appreciate it. Chipping away at that affiliate goal. @TeachSoon on Twitter. Get updates when we go live. Next special point, Discord and chat. Use the Discord link. Drop by. Say hi. See you Thursday, folks.